One-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, where you're listening to live internet streaming radio. You're listening to live internet streaming video and watching us here on Facebook Live on facebook.com/live-now-dt, on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt as well. All inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Warm up or cool down with your favorite drink today, as well as all of their sandwiches and desserts at Cafe Kubal, with 5 locations in our community: 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 208 North Townsend Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, as well as inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital and at 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. A trio of fantastic people join the show today. MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Starting off things with Tom Douple, the head of the Summit League, the commissioner of the Summit League, joins us this morning from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And then in just a little while, we'll be joined by Dan Butterly of the Big West. And we'll round out today's show with Ted Gumbart of the ASUN Conference as we go around the country with the commissioners of collegiate athletics. And I'm very honored and fortunate to have Tom Douple on the show for the first time ever. So let's bring him in. Tom, how you doing today?
Doing great, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And Tom, first and foremost, we talked a little bit off the air, but for those who don't know anything about Sioux Falls, South Dakota, what can you tell us?
Oh, it's a hidden gem for sure. It's beautiful out here. We have the Sioux Falls and the Big Sioux River. It's a great tourist attraction. You know, one of the things I maintain, it's people-oriented, and it's got the can-do attitude. We can do it, and we're going to get it done, and it's very refreshing in the world of athletics, that's for sure.
Yeah, you know, and having that we can do it and we'll get it done, what can you say about the Summit League? I mean, that we have been through such a unique time period in our history. What has this past year and a half been like for you as the commissioner of the Summit? How have you worked toward doing it and getting it done?
Well, obviously, it's been a very, very difficult year, to say the least. You know, we were one of the conferences that moved our fall sports to the spring, and obviously our springs were just packed. You know, we had our regular seasons of volleyball, men's soccer, women's soccer, and then we did a cross-country championship, you know, all in the spring, while we were still trying to compete with our fall sports, or winter sports, and also our spring sports. So it got a lot of compaction, to say the least. We had campuses that were hosting 5 different events, you know, at one time. And then we had all the testing protocols that we had put in place, and that was very difficult. And it was managing, you know, the testing, the reporting, and we had a lot of games canceled in various sports, and so it was really stressful on the administrators, the athletes, and the coaches. But I'll tell you, who deserves our MVP is our medical training staffs. They just did a yeoman's job all year long. You know, on top, they worked their tails off regardless throughout the year on a regular basis. But you add COVID into it, and it was something. And so they were under tremendous pressure, trying to get their student athletes tested and get everybody to maintain, you know, social distancing and masking and all the protocols that we put in place. Now, having said that, you know, we've had our best ever postseason in the Summit League that we've ever had. You know, we won a first-round game in women's soccer. We won a first-round game in men's soccer. We got 2 teams in the women's basketball tournament. We had one of our teams in men's basketball reach the Sweet 16. We had a win in softball first round in the regional. We had a win in baseball first round in the regional. We had 74 of our student athletes qualify outdoor track for the regionals, and we have 16, you know, competing this weekend in at the Nationals. So, through it all, we ended up having our best postseason and year that we've ever had. And so, go figure. It's interesting, but we're really proud of that.
Yeah, and it's amazing rising through this, kind of being a phoenix through the ashes type of thing, and seeing the resiliency of your athletic directors, of your student athletes and your coaches. What does it mean to you as you oversee all of this, that you can a team is only as good as the sum of its parts? And so for you to do what you can do on your side as the commissioner, these schools have to come through, they have to navigate. The student athletes have to listen and follow protocol. The coaches have to listen and follow protocol. You add COVID into the mix with everything else going on with being a student and an athlete, and everything that's within the realm of collegiate athletics outside of this world being hit by a pandemic. How did you see the sum of your parts? How did you see your ADs and your coaches and your student athletes really just follow a vision and a mission, because none of this is possible unless you all work together?
Well, and that was the key. Did a lot of collaborative effort through every aspect that we put out there. The toughest part was establishing our protocols at the very beginning. Once we established those protocols, once we had our testing companies in place and what we were going to do, then we just carried the plan out. We were very fortunate that the chair of our President's Council was also the chair of the University of Nebraska Medical Center. And so we worked closely with the Global Center of Health Security at the University of Nebraska and got great information. They were one of the leaders in the country in Ebola. And so you add the COVID, they already knew what to do and how to address infectious diseases. And so they gave us some great guidance, and we used their lab for PCR overnight for our testing for our officials. And then we went with the Quidel antigen testing, and then the Abbott cards for our tournament. So once we established that, our trainers held to it. Our coaches and our student athletes, they just did a great job, and I can't say enough about them.
Yeah, and really to have that success outside of that, I mean, you were talking about the successes in multiple different sports. I want to go to Oral Roberts for a second. Jim Boeheim, longtime head coach at Syracuse, and going into his 46th year now, he said that Oral Roberts arguably had the best backcourt in the entire NCAA tournament. What are your thoughts on what Oral Roberts was able to do, and kind of connecting my hometown to one of the schools within your conference, hearing Jim Boeheim say nobody should be surprised about Oral Roberts because he thought that they had incredible talent?
Yeah, they, we had the leading scorer in Max Amos, and I thought he played well throughout the year, but they ended up being fourth in our league. They were beat by our number 1, 2, and 3, and also our 5 and 6 teams throughout the year. But they came on at the right time, developed the right chemistry, and he's right about the front court and the back court area. Those student athletes did a great job, and I thought they could compete with anyone once they hit the tournament, and they did. They beat Ohio State and then Florida, and I was at the game, and they that last second shot, they competed against Arkansas. They were up by 8 to 10 points, and right there at the end they needed a shot to win it. So they were competing with anyone. They really stepped it up defensively at the tournament, and it was a credit to Coach Mills and what they have done down there. And right now, hopefully, knock on wood, they're all coming back.
Yeah. And that's something, too, looking at the fact of the extra year of eligibility. There's a lot of things going on in the world. Speaking here with Tom Douple, the Summit League commissioner here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, in a total commissioner takeover this morning inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Tom, name, image, and likeness, extra year of eligibility, no restrictions in transferring. so many things going on at once. How are you as a commissioner handling kind of this new age of collegiate athletics?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of things going on at once. But I think it's all good. We'll all come out of this. There'll be a little angst in the next couple of months over name, image, and likeness, and some of the inter-transfers. They'll get some high-profile athletes transferring within the a conference here or there. That'll get just a ton of publicity. But overall, it's for the student athletes, and that's why we're in the business. And so I think they'll have adjustments that will be made. Just so happens all of those issues hit at once, and hit right at the end of COVID. So it's been a challenging year, as not only you're dealing with the COVID and games being canceled and putting student athletes in isolation and contact tracing. You're also dealing with those issues, and it's been tough on all of us, to try to grasp and get a hold. We're trying to go day to day and get through the season, and then deal with the larger pictures. So, but I think it'll all work out in the end for sure.
And for you, navigating through unprecedented times, what did you learn about yourself as a leader? What did you take away from this time and kind of personal growth? What can you say about that?
Well, it's been a learning process. I knew nothing about antigen testing and PCR testing and that aspect, and so I learned a lot, from that and setting up the protocols and infectious diseases. But I learned, the multitasking, and trying to separate the issues, the transfer. Inter-transfer policy, and you're dealing with those issues, but that's separate than name, image, and likeness. And I think one of the things that all of our commissioners, that you try to departmentalize and take it one issue at a time and try to tackle it, and know that your jobs are to look at the 30,000 foot level and not get caught up in that weekend's games being canceled or something like that. So it's multitasking is what I've learned.
Yeah, and having to figure things out on the fly and things be ever changing in this world. I mean, for you as we step forward, what does it look like? What does the world look like to you as we're moving, on? And you talk about being at the summit, right? And when you're at the summit, you can essentially see out and look over the landscape. So, being the commissioner of the Summit League, what does the landscape look like?
Well, I think we take a lot of lessons that we learned from this past year. Obviously the getting on Zoom and those platforms where we didn't do that in the past. We thought we had to meet in person, and I think those moving forward will be very positive for us. A lot of it is scheduling too. We reduce schedules, a lot of non-conference scheduling and events, and do we need to have as many? You take track and field; they didn't have as many, but yet we've had record performances. We set 14 new records in outdoor track. You got to ask yourself, is that because we didn't go to as many outdoor track meets throughout the year and our athletes were well rested, or they just concentrated more in their training? So all those the things that we hope we will learn. We look forward to the fall. We hope that COVID is past us, but if it isn't, we know the protocols and the procedures that will be put in place if we have to tackle it again. And I think those are the lessons that we will carry forward. But I do look for a great year next year. Obviously getting our fans back, at our events is a key, to a great student athlete experience. But we also need to look at the mental aspect of our student athletes and always keep that in the forefront. How did they do in their academics this past year with a lot of online classes rather than, in person? And, that will be an adjustment. And hopefully, in person will help us in our academics as well. So, it's one of those things where we're constantly evaluating and monitoring, but we do look forward to the upcoming year for sure.
Yeah, and as you look forward to what's to come, I also want to look back here. North Dakota State, the Bison, when it comes to success on the field in general in college, they have it. But when it comes to sending success to the NFL, they have it as well. Carson Wentz, Easton Stick, Trey Lance, just to talk about three quarterbacks that are all currently in the NFL. Easton is a backup. Carson Wentz is the new starter for the Colts and the former number 2 overall pick. And Trey Lance was drafted in the top 3 as the San Francisco 49ers traded up from 12 to 3. What is in the water at North Dakota State that these quarterbacks are not only relevant in college, but they find their way to be relevant inside of the NFL and have obviously garnered respect from teams around the NFL?
Well, North Dakota State does a great job with their program up there. They actually play in the Missouri Valley football league, but we're proud of everything they've done up there. They've got great coaches, and they do a super job of recruiting the upper Midwest and getting the student athletes and developing them. That is one thing that I think is a key, is to develop, because some of these the student athletes don't have all the Power 5 offers that many of them do, and so they've just developed these student athletes to become relevant in the game. And you look at the quarterbacks, and I'm a huge Carson Wentz fan. I saw him play a number of times in person, and how he's handled himself on and off the field is just really outstanding.
Yeah, and you talked about, speaking here with Tom Douple, the Summit League commissioner here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. You mentioned the fact that, obviously North Dakota State is a part of the Summit but has connections elsewhere. Your Summit League is comprised of teams that, are there in some way, shape, or form, but also are affiliated elsewhere. We look at Denver, Kansas City, North Dakota State, Omaha, Oral Roberts, South Dakota, and South Dakota State, Western Illinois, Drake, Eastern Illinois, Illinois State, Northern Colorado, and Valparaiso. What can you say about the Summit being comprised of, teams that are there for all sports but also share in other places? How do you navigate that as a commissioner, having representation from successful programs and, teams all over the country that, some of them are there in totality and some of them obviously are there in different respects? How do you balance all of that?
Well, we emphasize our diversity with the private schools and the public schools, and diversity of sports sponsorship. We have 3 of our institutions that play at a very high level in men's hockey, with North Dakota, Denver, and Omaha. And it's always great to see them compete at that national level, because that gives publicity and recognition to that university, and consequently the university is a part of our league. And same thing with the 5 members, all the 4 Dakotas and Western that play Missouri Valley football, and they're very successful at that. South Dakota State played in the national championship game this year, and of course North Dakota State's won 7 of the 9 last year's in FCS football national championship. They bring great publicity to their university and get a lot of recognition, and we're able to feed off of that. And now we hope to have some of our sports that they compete in and play nationally as well, and so it's a win-win. You've got to create that, though. Sometimes I sit around and say, "Oh man, I wish we sponsored hockey. I wish we sponsored football or something like that." Just because our teams are getting such good publicity, and you want your logo on the front of the jersey. But it's a thing that we've really been able to embrace.
And you have so many different sports within the summit. But like you said, teams, including, obviously teams that play football, and talking about North Dakota State, I have to go elsewhere for that because it's not a sport within the conference. Have you looked at evolving the conference in certain ways? I mean, have you looked at football specifically? Have you looked at, really, I mean, as you move forward with the Summit League, where are you looking to maybe expand or to diversify? And is football ever a part of that discussion?
Well, it has been, but we haven't been able to get to 6. You need 6 to be a league. But the one good thing that we brought in, and it's next year, we're going to bring in University of St. Thomas from the Twin Cities, and they're located in St. Paul. Gives us some great area to recruit in. Right now, we have about 17% of our student athletes are from the Minnesota area, and overall. So we've been recruiting that area, but getting a presence in the Twin Cities is really going to help us. And so we've expanded, and we're going to be at 10 with the University of St. Thomas, and a very great addition for us. And they're going to go through some, growing pains, but I do expect them to be competitive in the upcoming years. So membership's one of the things that we constantly look at. And you need to, if you're able to grow your brand. And for us in the upper Midwest, we're limited in the schools that will probably be available. Not everybody wants to get in a plane and travel their basketball teams up into Grand Forks or Fargo. And so we're been going regionally and try to get the very best ones we can in the area.
And a couple final notes here with Tom Douple, the Summit League Commissioner. Tom, what is it in the water of the Dakotas? It's something that's been on my mind for a while, and I get to ask you because you're up there in Sioux Falls, but North Dakota State, South Dakota, and South Dakota State, what is it in the water that, there's these successes, and nationally sometimes things are carried. I proudly rock a South Dakota State Jackrabbits t-shirt that I've had for like the last, 6 or 7 years. What is it about the Dakotas that, they do create a danger zone to maybe some teams that don't anticipate anything from the Dakotas? It's not really they're not really states that are talked about a lot, yet there is tremendous talent that comes out of here in numerous different ways. What's going on in the Dakotas, and how would you describe it?
Well, one thing is the women's basketball in South Dakota, both of them have been nationally ranked. South Dakota State went to the Sweet 16 2 years ago. And then the COVID year where everything was shut down, the University of South Dakota was ranked 11th in the country in women's basketball. So, they're very passionate fans. As much as anywhere, they're very supportive of their schools, so they have a great fan base. 2, they've been able to upgrade their facilities are as good as you can get. I'll put South Dakota State's indoor facility and South Dakota's outdoor track facility among the best. All of them have new arenas, just very good athletic facilities. And that goes for the weight room, the training room, their academic centers. They have the base right in there. And they've been able to get the very best student athletes in the state. Both of them are small states, but they've been able to do that. And then they reach over to Minnesota, which is 5 million, and a lot of high schools in that area. It's something that, they are the state universities. And I'm an LSU grad, and I understand the state university at LSU, and That's how these people feel about their university and their state. So there's, the tailgating and the pregame activities before at the basketball tournaments. They're the same as anywhere else, and they really put an emphasis on it. And I think that's been the key. It's hard work. They know they're the underdog, from the get-go because of their location, and they just put the nose to the grindstone and compete.
And a final word here from you, Tom. What maybe that we didn't talk about today, what should the country know about the Summit League? Why be a part of it? Why join it? What is so special about the Summit League as kind of a final note here?
Well, we think we're doing a pretty good job, and we let the records speak for themselves. As I said earlier, we've had our great postseason run. Anytime you can have a men's basketball team reach the Sweet 16 like we did this year. Just mentioned the women's basketball. We've had a Sweet 16 run. We've had national champions in indoor and outdoor track. All of our soccers can compete at the regional and national level. I think, we're up and coming. Again, we added St. Thomas, which will bring us, the Minneapolis market, which is huge for us. We have Omaha and Kansas City, and so we're in some great markets with Denver and Tulsa as well. So I think the future is bright. And we're just going to maintain what we want to do. We know that our place, we want to be the very best mid-major that we can possibly be, and compete, at the regional and national level and our top teams.
Yeah, coming from Tom Douple here of the Summit League, Commissioner of the League. Tom, first time I've had you here on the show, but would love the opportunity to welcome you back, and I'm so grateful for your time and you being a part of this. So would definitely love to feature you again, and I hope nothing but the best for the Summit and all of your members moving forward.
Well, thanks a bunch, Dan. Appreciate your interest.
All right, I'll talk with you soon.
Okay.
Take care. That coming once again from Tom Douple, the Summit League Commissioner. We'll take a step aside. When we come back, we'll be here with Dan Butterly of the Big West right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, where you're listening live to internet streaming radio all across the world. You're also watching us on facebook.com/livenowdt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and also on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So however you're connected with the show, we thank you so much for being a part of it, and appreciate you joining us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. It is a total Commissioner Takeover today, and for the first time ever, I have the opportunity to welcome Dan Butterly to the show, the Big West Commissioner, who is up with the sunrise on the West Coast, and so it's my honor to bring him in. We've already started a great conversation off the air. We might as well have it on the air. Dan, how you doing today?
Everything's good, Dan. Good to talk to you this morning.
Absolutely, and I found out, and I gotta talk about this for a second. I found out you're a Seinfeld fan.
I am a Seinfeld fan. I obviously grew up during that time period. Really love the show, and I don't. It's one of those funny things. It's like you like Seinfeld or you don't like Seinfeld. Sometimes opposite attract. My wife doesn't like Seinfeld. I like Seinfeld. So,
so what's her show? Was she Friends and you were Seinfeld? What was it?
Oh, definitely. She was definitely a Friends person. I'd watch Friends just to get to Seinfeld. So.
That's what some people do. It's like, it's the means of, like, you watch a couple minutes just to find your way into the other one because you don't want to miss a second of it. So I get that.
100%.
So you and I were talking. You were moving offices, getting everything set up. I mean. Nothing. I mean, obviously, you take some time right here in the June time when you can do something like that. But what is life like being a commissioner, navigating through everything, including a pandemic, and then just casually having to move stuff around too? How are you handling all that?
Well, it's been a crazy year for me, Dan. It's been almost 1 year to the day that I left the Mountain West Conference, where I'd been in Colorado Springs for 21 years, to take the commissioner position at the Big West Conference, and obviously right at the very beginning time period of the pandemic. So having to traverse the pandemic, trying to get to know your member institutions, the leaders in the Big West Conference amongst your institutions, and trying to determine your staff and who's on board and all the things that were left on the desk for the new commissioner. It's been a challenging year in many ways, but it's an exciting year too, because there's going to be a great year ahead for the Big West. We've done a lot of work behind the scenes to get better, to get stronger, and we're excited to be able to announce some of those initiatives here in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, and what can you say about the work in the background? Is there anything that you can share about some of these things you've been working on in the trenches that will be unveiled soon?
Well, I know some of the things we've announced, obviously, some of the things that we were able to take advantage of during the pandemic. We were able to get a title sponsor for the basketball championship in the Air Force Reserve. We partnered with Van Wagner to manage our third-party rights. Those are things that the Big West really didn't have a strong partnership in the sponsorship area. So we've been able to increase our sponsorship efforts, which means that we'll be able to provide more resources, to be able to increase our improve our student-athlete experience here at the Big West. So that's one of the exciting things that we're going to be looking forward to announcing. And a lot of things that were left, anything from broadcast agreements to basketball championship contracts to, just who the Big West is. We've been doing a lot of strategic planning behind the scenes, a lot of research behind the scenes as to who we are, what our memberships want us to be, and how we move forward. So, again, just a lot of great things to be announced here in the weeks ahead.
You said it's almost been a calendar year since you came over from the Mountain West to the Big West. The decision to, bring me into all of this, because amidst a pandemic, you're changing the conference that you're connected to the Big West. You're taking over a the conference decision
as
its head, as its leader, as the face of what it is moving forward. So bring me into the decision, how it all came about, and what it was like for you to truly do something that so few people can say in this world, which is to make a change and to become a commissioner amidst a pandemic, amidst something that nobody was really prepared for.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, Dan. I joke about it. If you named it the beginning of this whole endeavor, I would say it all started with a Zoom meeting. Literally, I was interviewed. All 3 interviews I did with the search committee for this position back in April of 2020 were all done via Zoom. I had not met anybody in person. I got hired just based upon that search process. But Commissioner Thompson at the Mountain West got a call from Jeff Schemmel, who was leading the search firm effort for the Big West Conference Commissioner. Jeff had talked to Craig and said, "Hey, would Dan be interested?" And Craig came up to me a few minutes before a staff meeting at the Mountain West and said, "Hey, if you're interested, you might want to get your information in." So that's how the process started. February 2020. I was interviewed in April 2020 and announced officially May 4th, and the board of directors wanted me out here by June 1st. So you're in a process of trying to make a decision to take the job, to leave a home you lived in for 21 years, to find a house out here, to sell a house there within 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, fortunately, we were able to do it. We were able to accomplish it. We moved in to our new home here in California on June 12th. And I officially started the transition June 1st. So just a crazy time period. But, it's been an amazing ride the first year, all the challenges we faced and how we, took it day by day, hour by hour to advance and move forward.
Yeah, and incredible to do it at this time and to challenge yourself in that way. Dan Butterly, the Big West Conference Commissioner, here with us this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, joining us from the West Coast. And Dan, you said that it was official, kind of came together on May 4th. Are you a Star Wars fan? The May the 4th be with you. Did that mean anything to you?
I definitely am a Star Wars fan. That's one of the benefits of living out here. The office is about 20 minutes from Disneyland, but definitely May the 4th was with me. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and kind of a beautiful thing there to have that. The conference is comprised of, just really incredible for me as I take a look around the country, and I've had the opportunity to travel to a bunch of different places, but still need to bring myself out to the West Coast, and I'm looking at, teams within this conference and just a beautiful makeup in my opinion, because I have an appreciation of the landscape. And so, we have UC Santa Barbara, UC Irvine, UC Riverside, Cal State Fullerton, CSU Bakersfield, UC Davis, Hawaii, CSUN, Long Beach State, Cal Poly. What can you say about these member schools and what they mean to you when you hear them here this morning, on the airwaves? What is all of this together feel like to you when you think about the members of the Big West?
Tremendous academic institutions, high-achieving academic institutions, world-renowned academic institutions in some of the most beautiful cities and area of the world that participate in NCAA Division I athletics at the highest level. We compete for NCAA baseball titles. We won the men's volleyball championship, national championships this year. Hawaii won that national championship. We are nationally competitive in multiple sports and always looking to get better. But when you talk about it, you talk about Cal Poly, you talk about UC Santa Barbara, you talk about Hawaii. Just think in your head the beauty of those locales along the Pacific Ocean. Getting your degree from one of our institutions and participating in Division I athletics, it's a great recruiting discussion.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the beauty of that, having so many schools, in the great state of California and in Hawaii and so on and so forth. What can you say about, kind of selling the brand of the Big West, because it is so incredible and is so beautiful, and I can, I kind of look back on my time, and I'm an only child, so my parents didn't want me to go that far away, and now I'm sitting here thinking maybe Dan, you and I should have gotten in a DeLorean and gone back in time, and you would have said to me, "Hey, guess what? During a pandemic, I know it sounds bad, it's going to be crazy, but I'm going to join the Big West," and then I would have been like, "All right, great, I'll come to Hawaii." I think that would have made a lot of sense, but it's got to be exciting to get up every day and be in such a beautiful position as a commissioner, but also to just look around and really going off of what you said. Look at the beauty of these. It's kind of like paradise being in these schools where the academics, as you talked about, are high, and at the same time, it's like living in a vacation. I can imagine it's not a tough sell to say, why don't you come out to the islands of Hawaii and have your future, so to speak.
Well, that's it, Dan. You look at, we have beach volleyball in the Big West. And I'm not talking, sand pits on a campus in the Midwest. I'm talking beach volleyball. I mean, Long Beach State hosted our beach volleyball championships on the beach with the Pacific Ocean right outside. I mean, it's when you just look at the makeup of the institutions. I mean, I traded the beautiful Rocky Mountains of Colorado for palm trees and ocean in California. It's really, when you look at the Big West, we are truly a challenger brand. We are not a Power Five, a Group of Five. We don't sponsor football in the Big West Conference. We sponsor sports that are I don't want to say X game like, but not as traditional as you go.
We lost Dan here for a second. We'll look to bring him back momentarily. We'll see if we can get Dan back here onto the. And there we go. All right. So, yeah, Dan, we lost you for a second. So you were talking about the non-traditional sports, and go ahead from there.
Yeah. So obviously I grew up in the Midwest, and you think of basketball, you think of football, you think of baseball. I mean, those are the sports you played in high school. Well, out here, you're playing, volleyball. You're playing men's volleyball. You're playing beach volleyball. You're playing water polo. I mean, these are all sports that the Big West sponsors that we're nationally competitive at, and it definitely creates more interest. And it's one that I've talked to coaches here in the Big West relative to recruiting strategies and the things they look at. And one of the things that some of our coaches talked to me about was recruiting Midwestern kids or Eastern potential student athletes in the East. They bring them out here in the middle of winter for basketball, and they see that it's 60, 70, 80 degrees in February, January and February out here with all this beauty and all this water and everything that goes along with it. And you can compete in these sports. I mean, it's a great challenger brand. We are the ones that are scrapping and fighting, and nobody wants to play us in baseball because we are just that good in baseball. We had 4 teams in 4 years participate in the College World Series, and we had some competitive teams again this year.
Yeah, and having that competitiveness amidst everything that's gone on with the pandemic, the past year and a half, what has it taught you, and what have you seen? How have you seen the Big West member schools rise through it? And what can you say about what it's taught you overall as we speak here with Dan Butterly, the commissioner of the Big West?
I think you really see leadership step up. You see the things that every day, every hour is a different challenge. I mean, credit to our student athletes and our teams for having to manage a year of a pandemic. We continue to hear that they wanted to play, that they wanted to compete, that they wanted to participate in their sport. And we did all that we could to make that happen. I mean, the MVPs across college athletics were the athletic trainers, our sports medicine staffs that had to not only do their regular jobs of keeping our student athletes healthy and treating injuries and doing those type of things, but truly managed the testing protocols and everything that had to do with COVID-19. And then the presidents and chancellors of the Big West have been amazing. I mean, we've had, I think one of our athletic directors had indicated to me back in September, they're used to meeting twice a year, and we probably met with our presidents and chancellors at least once a month throughout the past year. I've met with our athletic directors and our senior women administrators every week since I've come on board to continue to manage the protocols with COVID and all the things that have changed this year. So leadership has stepped up. Our student athletes did what they needed to do, what they wanted to do to compete. And again, our athletic trainers, I can't thank them enough for all the work they did this year.
Yeah, and you look at these member schools and joining recently CSU Bakersfield and UC San Diego. What can you say about, I mean, obviously you were a new addition to it and their recent additions to it as well. What has it been like to come in and see that the Big West, has worked on expansion and evolving throughout these times as they evolved with you coming in as the commissioner, they were also evolving with their membership as well?
Yeah, when I officially became commissioner July 1st, the Cal State Bakersfield and UC San Diego were official members of the Big West on July 1st. So it was kind of fun to become commissioner that day, officially become commissioner that day, and also announce that day that they were official members and celebrate with those two institutions. I mean, UC San Diego and Cal State Bakersfield were great additions to the Big West. Fit the footprint perfectly. Two very strong academic and athletic programs. UC San Diego's transitioning from Division II, where they've won national championships, to Division I, And so we're working with them on that transition process, and they are already competing in a full Division I schedule as they transition, and they've shown that they're highly competitive at the Division I level. Their facilities are fantastic. I mean, even their broadcast and production facilities are some of the best in the Big West. So they're doing what they need to do to be ready to compete. Full-fledged members of D1 by 2024 is what their transition period is at this point. If there's any way to speed that up, we're working to try to do that because they're ready to be a full-fledged member. But Bakersfield's shown to be extremely competitive, amazing leadership at Bakersfield, and another great addition to the Big West.
What's it been like for you to oversee that? Like you said, UC San Diego transitioning from Division II to Division I by 2024, if not sooner. What's that been like for you to oversee something like that, and have you experienced anything like that or paralleling that before?
No, I had never had. Strange enough, during my time at the Missouri Valley, we added member institutions while I was there. They were already Division I. The Mountain West went through change, but again, the Mountain West is a Group of 5 football playing conference, football-focused conference. And when we went through the changes in 2010 to 2012, I mean, they were great institutions that we added at the Mountain West. But I'd never been in a process where we had admitted a transitional program to the conference. So it's been very good discussions. It's been great being able to track the changes, the things that UC San Diego is doing to continue to move through the process from Division I to Division II to Division I. Have continual conversations with their staff and their athletic director, Earl Edwards, who's become a very good friend, an unbelievable leader down at UC San Diego. He's been there from the Division III. UC San Diego was Division III to Division II to Division I. Earl has been there all throughout that time as the athletic director, so he knows the transitional process, and he's excited to get this process completed and get their student athletes fully competing in Division I and for national championships.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see this, and obviously a new experience for you. I mean, going through these experiences, that being one that you haven't done before, obviously navigating through the pandemic and everything that's gone on, and office changes and all of that. In a calendar year, Dan, have you challenged yourself enough?
That's a great question. I don't think there's been much sleep over the past year. I mean, from anything from not knowing for sure if you're going to compete that day, where the pandemic's going to go, ebb and flow, what California's restrictions are going to be in place relative to the pandemic, to a lot of things that were left on the desk, a lot of contracts that were expiring, staffing changes that were needed to be made because when Dennis Farrell left as commissioner, Rob Hallbach's his deputy commissioner also retired at the same time, and Erica Monteibaro was the senior associate for compliance and governance. She took a job at UC Irvine before I was even hired, so I had to work to hire an administrative executive staff as well during this time period, and in a time of managing costs and keeping our costs as much down as we possibly can. So yeah, there haven't been enough challenges this past year, and it was funny. I actually talked to some of my commissioner counterparts. I said, "Is this really what it's like being a commissioner? Is this the things that you're dealing with day in, day out?" Because I've been in the conference office for since 1993, so I've been in the conference office for a while. But they said, "No, we kind of miss the times where you can, where you kind of sleep, where you can just kind of relax." I said, "I'm kind of looking forward to getting to that position sometime, where at least I could take a day off and just get some rest." But it's exciting because again, all the things we're doing are for the betterment of the Big West Conference. Again, these announcements we're making, I think our staff is getting excited to get these things wrapped up, to get these announcements made, and get us moving forward to the 21-22 academic year, and getting our fall sports, our soccer programs, our volleyball programs back on the competition field and get moving forward.
And if you can't sleep for a little while, I think the least you could do for yourself is bring the laptop out to the beach and, do some work from the hammock. I think you should do that at least.
Exactly. Actually, I went to the doctor. She told me I had a vitamin D deficiency. You're not getting enough sunlight. And I'm like, that's what happens when you're in the office all day. That's the problem. But, it's definitely, I'm looking forward to, like I said, wrapping up a lot of the projects that we've been working on and get the announcements made, and hopefully get in a couple of days where you can actually enjoy the weekend and see what the water's all about out here in the Pacific Ocean. So.
Yeah, and I think you should write that to your boss. You being the commissioner, write a letter to yourself stating that you need, a little bit of vitamin D, and then it's only fair for you to go out to the beach because the doctor's orders have asked you to do that. I think you are on solid ground, solid moral and ethical ground to ask for some vitamin D outside.
That's it. Definitely the California labor laws or those type of things do require that you maintain health and do that type of stuff. So I hear you, Dan. It's not a bad recommendation.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help you out. From a guy who owns his own company to a commissioner, just trying to look out for you. But here with Dan Butterly here on Wake Up Call inside the Cafe Kubal studios, and obviously representing the Big West as the commissioner. For you, Dan, before I let you go here, the strength of the Big West as you move forward, as you see San Diego goes through its process, and we look at the rest of this beautiful conference. How would you describe it in almost a calendar year of being there, and just what you can say about what separates it, what makes it special? I mean, obviously everyone has their own brand, and everybody's looking to sell that brand. So why the Big West?
Again, region of the country, the level of the academic institutions. If you get a degree from a Big West institution, you're going places. You've challenged yourself in your college career, and you're ready for that next phase of life. The beauty of the landscape, the competitiveness, and the challenger brand that the Big West Conference is, that's just excitement. I mean, we want to be bold. We want to be aggressive in scheduling and improvement, and just continue to compete for national championships. And that's what the Big West Conference is all about. We're building leaders day by day. We're facing challenges and moving past them in a positive direction. So that's the Big West Conference, and I'm excited to represent them as the commissioner.
And you talk about that. You get a good education, and you'll be ready to go out there into the world. Some people nowadays don't think that they need a college education. They don't think they have to go out there and push themselves that way. They just go straight into work or whatever they plan to do. Why, when you've spoken so highly about the academics of the Big West, why is it important, in your opinion, to have a college education?
Well, Dan, I tell you, the college education is definitely something that it allows you to expand your knowledge field and really determine who you are. I mean, I did this when I went to college. I went into college to become a journalist, to study political science, and become the next, Peter Jennings, Dan Rather type. And I got involved with athletics. I became the head basketball manager at Illinois State, and realized I was enjoying it. I was like, this is great. And all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, I can make money working in sports and doing this type of thing. So I changed my complete direction in college. And my daughter is currently going to Ohio University, and she's done the same thing. She went into studying sports management thinking she wanted to be in event management, and now she's involved in broadcasting and doing the things there. So college really gets you to experience and to see what opportunities exist in the world, what career paths exist in the world, and to develop those skills in a career that you want. It doesn't necessarily there's definitely great opportunities in the trades and the other fields that are out there that you don't necessarily have to go to college to do. But I'll tell you, that's the benefit of going to college, is finding who you are, growing up in learning a field that you really want to work in. As what the saying goes, if you enjoy what you do, it doesn't feel like work, or there's not a day of life that you work in that respect. I think that's what you learn in college, is really finding the niche and what you really want to do in your life.
Yeah, and you talk about something that I have felt for so long. You don't work a day in your life. If you do what you love and you love what you do, you never go to work. And I have had the opportunity. I mean, this will be 18 years November that I've been broadcasting, because I started when I was like 17, 18. And then, my company this Saturday will turn 9 years old. So it's a beautiful thing to see it realized and to have fun with it. And what I love, Dan, about this conversation, and what you'll learn about me is transparency is very key with me. I'm a media member by my credential, but not by my morals, values, or attitude. And what I mean by that is, so many different things. But I have felt from the moment we got on the phone off the air, I felt such a positive and uplifting and like good energy from you that's legitimately made me want to come out to California and be like, let me tour the place, let me see what it's like, let me walk around with you and really get a feel for this, because I feel the energy from you, and I think that that's only going to breed success. So I would be remiss if I didn't say that to you.
Dan, I greatly appreciate that. And that's just the excitement of the Big West Conference. And, living here in California, looking at the sunrise off to the east, and just experiencing this part of the country. I mean, you're more than welcome. The Big West would love to have you. You can, come enjoy the new offices that we've got here. We got many institutions here in the Orange County and LA area. You can hit 5 of them pretty quick to see games and take part and see the campuses. So anytime you want to come out, we invite everybody. Come out to the Big West. We'd love to have you.
And coming from Dan Butterly, and I'll have to take you up on that, Big West Conference Commissioner. A final note here, Dan, before I let you go, just to speak on, as we move forward here, as a country, as you move forward as the Big West Conference, as you move forward as a commissioner and as a leader, what are you asking of yourself, and what are you hoping for as we step forward, where we have learned so much, gone through so much together, and we're at a point in the world which is very rare, where we all went through the exact same thing at the exact same time. So what do you hope for yourself, and what do you hope moving forward, as a community of the world, what should we look forward to from here?
I hope we realize what we had before the pandemic. The freedom to do what we want to do when we wanted to do it, without masking, and just, traveling and experiencing life. And obviously the pandemic shut that down for all of us. And I hope that we can come out of this pandemic with a renewed sense of life and the positive effect that we can have on other people. I think it was one of the challenges I had moving out to California and not really knowing anybody in my new neighborhood or those type of things. People just didn't want to come out of their houses because of the pandemic. Get out there, say hello to your neighbors, go meet some new people, and get this country moving forward, get the society moving forward again, and be positive. There's just so much good in life that we all need to experience, and as they say, it's a short life. Just be positive and enjoy it.
And you got Cal State Bakersfield, the Roadrunners, who came in, like you said, when you came in, and I have to say, when they made their way to the NCAA tournament, I was all about it, and I was reposting their stuff and posting different things, and they linked up with me on social media. So I got to give Cal State Bakersfield a shout out, because I do my T-shirts around the country, and I think a CSU Bakersfield one is in my not too distant future. So I had to shout out the Roadrunners, because when they were having some fun in the NCAA tournament, I had some fun with them on social media, which was pretty cool.
I completely understand that. Believe me, the staff that is at Bakersfield has been a joy to be a part of, and their student athletes that I've been able to meet. Just a joy to have in the conference. So that's one of the great things about the Big West too, is you've got Roadrunners and Anteaters and the Beach. You've got so many great brands in this conference, and we're excited to be moving them forward.
Absolutely. That coming from Dan Butterly of the Big West Conference Commissioner here, and working into that full calendar year. So, Dan, like I said, love the positive energy. Look forward to coming out there onto the West Coast and seeing everything. And in the meantime, stay safe and stay well. And please, due to the doctor's orders, get yourself some vitamin D.
Okay, doctor's orders. I got to get out to the beach for a Saturday. That would be a good thing. So I appreciate that, Dan.
All right, I'll talk with you soon.
Thanks, Dan.
Take care. That coming once again from Dan Butterly of the Big West Conference. And, new commissioner here in the world of collegiate athletics, and new to the Big West, like he said, just within getting to a year that he's been there in the Big West, which is really, really cool. And what a great conversation, and what a nice man. You know what I mean? So we look at what we've had this morning, and you know that the American Athletic Conference is very well represented on Wake Up Call with Mike Oresco, who started off the week for us here. And, obviously John Swafford with the ACC for almost 10 years that I've been covering the ACC on-site, on location, and heavily that he's been on here on the show. And now there's a transition there into a new conference commissioner in the ACC who I hope to speak with. But to branch out, this is something I've wanted to do for a bit here, and I love the fact that Tom Douple has joined us from the Summit League and connected me to the Dakotas, who, I've loved from afar, and Oral Roberts, and then here's Dan Butterly, and connecting me to Hawaii, who I have a lot of respect for, as well as, Cal State, Bakersfield, and all the schools of these institutions, to be able to branch out. Talking to the commissioners means that we're reaching out to those states and those communities and those teams and institutions. And so I want to applaud all the coaches of the Summit League and the student athletes and the representation and the staff and everybody, the people that take out the trash inside of the offices of these conferences. Every single person makes a difference. And if we didn't learn that about the world in the past year and a half, then we didn't learn anything. So to Tom Douple and everybody at the Summit League and to Dan Butterly and everyone at the Big West, I want to say thank you for letting me represent you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, a show that is very local, regional, national, and international. And to be able to do that here on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, and of course on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT and on WakeUpCallDT.com. And we're not done yet. We still have another member of our trio coming up here, and that is the ASUN Commissioner, and coming up in just a little bit at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, less than half an hour, we'll have Ted Gumbart joining the show to give his thoughts on, how he sees everything in the climate of collegiate athletics. So Ted Gumbart joining us from the ASUN Conference, and we'll have the opportunity to speak with him on the past year in sports, navigating through unprecedented times, the strength of the ASUN, and moving forward together. So very excited to have Ted join us in just a little bit, and honored to have Tom and Dan already have joined us here on the show. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora has plenty more, and we'll do the ingredients to success a little bit earlier here so we can make sure we get to everything this morning where sports meets life. Avicoli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, is your home for the Liverpool Athletics monthly show that we do. Liverpool Warriors are well represented on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, on site, on location, on the pizza side of Avicoli's, and all throughout the week. Avicoli's is open for you Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. Make sure you make your way over to the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. You can also call for takeout, delivery, and catering at 315-622-5100. That's 315-622-5100, and you can go to myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. The veal parmesan, so many great things there. The margarita pizza, second to none. Find your way to Avicoli's today. Canine Campground and Canine Camp Dog Daycare located in East Syracuse, right off of Bridge Street. You'll find the campground for long-term care for your furry-loving friend at 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse. And right down the road, you'll find the daycare, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, at 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse. Very easy to get to, right off of a bunch of main roads, just a second from Erie Boulevard. Finding your way to Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding means finding your way to extended family that will treat your dog like their own and truly show them love. There's nothing like peace of mind when you drop off your pup or your grown dog. It doesn't matter if it's a St. Bernard or a Chihuahua. We care about all of our wonderful dogs in this community, and when it comes to making sure that they're safe and sound and well and that we can trust somebody, it truly goes looking no further than Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding. PB&J's Lunchbox, one of our newest partners on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York, has found its new home. You know that their traveling truck is at so many different events. The Syracuse Food Truck Takeover, you see them there at Great Northern Mall Wednesdays from 4 to 8 p.m., and they go all over the community. They go to different hospitals. They are constantly on the road. Well, now, when you're on the road, you can stop by and see them, as they have their truck that is at numerous events, but they have their brick and mortar that is there for you all throughout the week on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Very easy to get to off of the Thruway, off of multiple highways, minutes from Destiny USA, and around the corner from Onondaga Lake Parkway. Find your way to the place that has the award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly and so much more at PB&J's Lunchbox on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. And Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, located on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, right by the water. The beauty of Skaneateles and the beauty of rehabbing and feeling better. Your body is your vessel. It is your temple. You have to treat it right. And Dr. Mark Petropoli and the entire team at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is there to help you do exactly that. They listen to their patients, they care about their patients, and they have patience with you. Call 315-685-7544 to make an appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. They are there, obviously, for surgery as well as physical therapy, and they're there for preventative care, listening to their patients and caring about your personal story. And we have the opportunity to tell personal stories every single month in our videos featuring Dr. Mark Petropoli of Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Stay close to our social media so that you can be a part of those today. With that being said, we are back here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. And I feel very honored and privileged to be able to do what I do here every single day. I get to do what I love. You know, Dan took the words right out of my mouth and the sentiments from me. And the awesome thing about it is, you know, he obviously is doing something he loves and loving what he does, because if he wasn't, he wouldn't have that on his mind. And so I'm happy for Dan, and I'm happy for everybody out there, and I'm happy for myself that I get to do what I love and love what I do. By the grace of God, I have had the opportunity that my hard work, my dedication, and determination has worked for me. God has worked for me. It doesn't matter who stands against me. It only matters who stands for me. And God standing for me, really honestly, doesn't mean nobody standing against me really matters, to be completely honest. And you'll learn that as you get older, that if you have God, who you always do, it doesn't matter who else you have or don't have. And it doesn't matter what's stacked against you. Everyone that's done anything of any beauty in this world has done it through adversity. Nothing has been done easily. So, work hard, stay determined, believe in yourself, and love your life. With that being said, it's a perfect segue to the ingredients to success, proudly brought to you by Avicoles. We typically do it at the end of every Tuesday show around 10:50 a.m. Eastern Time, or right around 11 o'clock. We do the ingredients to success. Well, today we're doing it a little bit earlier because we'll be rounding out today's broadcast with Ted Gumbart, the Commissioner of the ASUN. So, with that being stated, we're going to do the ingredients to success now, brought to you by Avicoles on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. There for you for decades, serving our community, and you were so good to them during this pandemic. You showed up there for takeout and curbside pickup and delivery when you could, and when they reopened, you did so much to support them and stand by their side that I want to say thank you on behalf of John, Nick, and the entire team at Avicoles for you supporting local and being good to them. Use the hashtag SupportCNY when you put stuff out on social media. Make sure you tag Wake Up Call too on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. With that being said, the ingredients to success, the topic of the day: don't let your mind be a jail. That's the topic of today. Don't let your mind be a jail. And what I mean by that is we are either the victim of our own thoughts, or we're either a victim of our own thoughts, or we are the victor of our own thoughts. So what I mean by that is we are either held captive by our thoughts, or we are freed by them. And we so much in life give the power of our thoughts to other people, right? Somebody says something negative about us, so we think negatively about ourselves. Somebody does something negative to us, so we think negatively about ourselves. And we're constantly beat up on ourselves. Some people do that. And I have. And I think that, you know, when we really look at life, you can either be the victim or the victor of your thoughts. And what are the ingredients to success of that? Well, you have to know who you are. And I know that's something that evolves and, you know, and it grows, but you have to know who you are, right? You have to know who is Dan Tortora, right? And because when you know who you are, it helps to block when people tell you you're somebody else, right? If you know you're a loving person and somebody says you're not loving, you block that. When somebody calls you selfish and you know that you're not, and you really care for people and you lead with the desire for everyone to be happy and not just yourself, you can hold on to that. So you have to know who you are, because there's spiritual warfare and there's, regular warfare, and people will try to get you off your game. There is the notion that the devil fights really hard when you're happy. Not just when you're down and sad, but really when you're happy, because that's when you're most dangerous. So being the victim or the victor of your thoughts. If you are the victim of your thoughts, that means that you're letting the world get to you, you're being pessimistic, you probably are not practicing your faith or really focusing on your faith. And I know that people have synagogue and temple and church. I think it's important to have a relationship with God. And I think without that, it makes, I would never challenge life without it, but I think without it, I would imagine it's difficult. So being the victim of your thoughts, not having a faith, not having belief in yourself, and yada, yada, yada. Being the victor of your thoughts, it means that you think things through. You really see life as, okay, here comes a negative thought, right? It's like a plane flying by. It's like, here comes a negative thought. Am I going to grab it, or am I going to let it fly by? Here's a positive thought. Am I going to grab it, or am I going to let it fly by? And understanding that those thoughts are, they're going to do this no matter what. And do we pick them up or do we let them go? So, thoughts will come and go. And, and that to me is important for us to know. It's important for me to know that it doesn't last forever. And here's the thing, like if somebody writes a negative tweet about you, right? And you don't see it for 3 months, and then the day you see it, like, it bothers you all day, and then it bothers you for 2 weeks, and it bothers you for 2 months, and then you thought about it a year later. If you never saw that, it wouldn't have bothered you, right? So essentially, that post, let's say, was made 3 months ago, and you saw it today, right? You saw it here in June, but it was made in March. Your life didn't end in March, it didn't end in April, it didn't end in May, so why end it in June? That thought was put out into the world 3 months ago. So why does it affect you today? Well, Dan, I don't like what they said. I understand that. But they said that a long time ago, and you're still here. So what I'm getting at for you is the reality of what people say about you does not have to affect what you think of yourself. It's their opinion. And their opinion is not fact. You are the only one that can determine what a fact is when it comes to your life. You're the only one that can determine what is fact. And what I mean by that is people can say whatever they want to say about you, but you are the only one that can determine what's true that's coming out of their mouth. People can say you're late all the time, but if you're on time, it's going to prove itself. People can say that you're selfish, and if you continue to give to other people, then people will eventually see the truth. You determine who you are. Perception and reality. And some people say, well, perception is reality. Only for so long. Because who a person is going to ultimately come through. If somebody says they're a good person and they're not, it's going to come through. If somebody says they're a cheater and they're not a cheater, it's going to come through. Somebody says they're hard and they're edgy and they're actually really like wonderful and kind and nice, it's going to come through. We eventually show who we are. You cannot stop your true colors forever. And so being the victim or the victor of your thoughts, you can't let what other people think of you determine what you think of yourself in the sense of negativity. Now, here is where you got to ride with me on this. When people think positively of you and they send you love, you should be open to that love, right? You should be able to take that in. So I'm not saying don't be critical of yourself constructively. What I'm telling you is So many people will tell you who you are. You have to know who you are. I mean, somebody could tell me I'm a great broadcaster, but if I don't believe it, I'm not going to think it, right? So you have to, I mean, granted, people can come into your life and tell you things that you may not have ever known. But until you believe it yourself, somebody could say that you're worth loving, but if you don't think you're worthy of love, you're the victim of your thoughts. If you think you are worthy of love, you're the victor of your thoughts. If you think that you can achieve your dreams, you're the victor. If you think you can't, you're the victim. There's going to be people out there that are going to tell you all the negatives. And there's going to be people out there that are going to tell you all the positives. And here's the thing about life. If you're not in control of your thoughts and you're not the victor, when people come into your life and they tell you all the beautiful things about you, you will push them away. And then you will become a victim of your thoughts even more. When people say bad things about you and try to bring you down, if you listen to that, you stay a victim. And you only fall deeper into the black hole. When people tell you loving and beautiful things and you believe in yourself and you become the victor, you rise out of the hole. And you don't want to become a self-fulfilling prophecy of negative thoughts lead to negative behavior, lead to the people that are trying to love you only getting negative from you, which is going to push people away. And why push away love? Why push away good people? Why push away good opportunities and good jobs and good things in your life? You can't be a good parent if you're the victim of your thoughts. You can't be a good son or a good father or a good daughter or a good mother, a good wife, a good husband if you're the victim of your thoughts. You can't be a good friend if you're the victim of your thoughts. You're not perfect. You're going to make mistakes. But rising above your negative thinking and not grabbing all these planes that are negative flying by. God bless me. I sneeze more on the air in the last 2 years than I've done in my whole life. But you should never hold a sneeze. I did learn that. So, and there's nothing wrong with saying God bless you. Can't have enough blessings from God. So, to anybody that sneezed during the show, God bless you. But the reality is, we become our thoughts. Whatever we think we are is who we become. It's where we hold ourselves. So we can either be a victim or a victor. We can either rise or we can fall. We're not perfect. We will never be perfect. I'm not telling you that you're not going to have a negative thought, but it's a plane flying by. You're right, and you're not going to take that. You have to learn how to let that go, how to realize that's a negative thought. I'm not going to hold on to it. Because the world will always have an opinion of you. Now more than ever. The world will always have an opinion of you. And sometimes it will share it. And sometimes it's negative. And sometimes it's positive. But the world will never cease to have an opinion of you. And my father always said this to me, and he can probably say it to me today, right now, is my dad has said to me for years, people will say what they want to say about you. Don't give them a reason to be right. Meaning, I mean, obviously positive, yes, but we're talking about negative. People will say negative things about you, but don't give them a reason to be right. You know, if somebody says you're not loyal, don't give them a reason to prove that you're not loyal. Let them speak because listen, you're never going to stop somebody from speaking hate and their negativity. You're never going to stop that. You can't get into their mouth. You can't get into their throat. You can't change what they're going to say. You can't get into their brain and their thoughts. You cannot manipulate what they're going to say, right? Eventually, people are going to say what they want to say, but don't give them a reason. If somebody says Dan's disloyal and somebody goes, prove it, you don't want them to be like, okay, well, on July 12th, he did this, and on September 15th, he did that. Let them spew their hate because you can't stop it, but don't give them a reason. Like my dad said, if somebody goes, you're late all the time, well, if you're on time, then it doesn't hold any weight. Don't give somebody a reason to be right in their negativity because they're going to spew their negativity, but don't give them a reason to be right. That doesn't mean be perfect. It means be the best that you can be. You know, we chase perfection. We're constantly let down because we can't be perfect. We're flawed. We're human. If you chase something that is not meant to be ours. God is perfect. We will not be perfect. If you jog and if you say to yourself, from now until I'm 99 years old, I'm going to jog, and I can't trip once or I'm a failure. We all trip. It happens. Doesn't mean you're a failure. Doesn't mean you don't know how to walk or jog. It just means we trip, right? Sometimes our shoelace comes untied. My shoelaces haven't come untied in over a year, but in the last 2 weeks, my shoelace come untied twice. I don't know why, but I tie it. I don't sit here and worry about it. You tie it, and you move on. You have to let the things of yesterday go. Because the past is like, picture it like this. If you live in the past and you focus on negative things that have happened that are done, you're essentially taking an anchor and you're throwing it backwards. And if you're the boat and you throw your anchor backwards, what do you think happens? You eventually get pulled back, right? You throw that anchor, your boat keeps going forward, and you throw that anchor behind you. That anchor will eventually hit the ground, grab, and pull you back. And you'll drown. We drown in our own self-pity, our own self-loathing, our own selfishness, and in our past. If you want to rise, rise. If you want to be healthy, be healthy. If you want it, go and get it. That is my advice to you. If you want it, go get it. Being a victim or a victor of your thoughts. What a beautiful sentiment this morning. Because it's almost the same word, but it's entirely different. Are you a victim of your thoughts, or are you a victor of your thoughts? 2 6-letter words, first 4 letters the same, but one ends in pain, victim, one ends in happiness, victor. What are you going to choose to be today? I want you to think about it. We'll take a step aside. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, where you're listening. You're watching on Facebook Live on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, which is being shared on facebook.com/livenowdt. So you have it in two areas for Facebook Live. So check facebook.com/wakeupcalldt for our page, and it being carried as well on the feed on facebook.com/livenowdt. You can also find us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So however you're connecting with the show, make sure you check us out today and every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We have a trio of amazing guests here for us today. You've heard from Tom Douple, from the Commissioner of the Summit League. You just heard from Dan Butterly a little while ago, the Commissioner of the Big West, who's in his first year. And we now have on the broadcast this morning, calling in here, and right on time, we have Ted Gumbart of the ASUN Conference. And so it is my honor and my privilege to bring in Ted this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life, to represent the ASUN and to speak on his viewpoint of this country, everything we've been through, and as we move forward with the ASUN Conference. So let's bring in Ted. Ted, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm great. I'm way beyond my wake-up call. I've gotten some meetings. I've got some meetings done, and so I appreciate you inviting me on, and glad to share whatever I can to entertain you and your audience.
And I appreciate that very much so, and I'm happy that you woke up early. I love your connection back to the wake-up call thing here inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Much appreciation for that, as we are joined here by Ted Gumbart, the ASUN Conference Commissioner. And Ted, really, the ASUN with everything, I kind of want to start with, the rebranding. We've known it as the Atlantic Sun through time, and now, really, it being the ASUN and the logo. And I think the logo looks very, it's nice. It fits good on everything. And I love the way it looks. I'm a big fan of logos and kind of, the design of them and all of that. So what can you say about the branding and the evolution of the ASUN?
Well, hey, number one, thanks. We love it when we get a compliment unsolicited on any part of our operation. So, yeah, we like it too. And some people have said it looks a little Star Trek-y, and I also take that as a compliment. In fact, it would be awesome if we could have, Scotty design some way to beam me up from place to place, because we always have to go to meetings and things, so that'd be awesome. But the real story was we became the Atlantic Sun Conference in, I think, 2000, and had a logo, and it was about 2016. And we had gone through some membership changes, and people felt like it was time for a refresh. And so we looked at the marks, and what came out of that is we involved student athletes in the process. And one of the focus group comments were, well, we're the only ones that have to wear it. We're going to wear it on our uniforms, and so we want to have a little more say in, the final design. And that proved to be a really positive step. So there was student athlete input on the design. And when we launched it, social media was blossoming. And that was the first time we used social media and the students to declare we had a new logo. And they did it through Twitter. And we didn't do any release. We just let them do it. The students, had ownership in it. And so that was a big success from our standpoint. And then they decided that they really don't use Atlantic Sun in their student athlete discussions. It's just the ASUN. Oh, we're in the ASUN. Yeah, we're doing this in the ASUN. And it became confusing to be the ASUN and the Atlantic Sun at the same time. So we just officially changed our name about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. So even on our legal documents, we are the ASUN Conference. And people say, well, what does it stand for? I said, whatever you want it to be. But
Yeah.
we're the ASUN. And certainly we are. We have the heritage of the Atlantic Sun Conference, and we're proud of that. But that's where it came from. And when we get people that still put in Atlantic Sun, we just say, hey, thanks for recognizing us. But due to a student athlete initiative, we are now legally
That's
the
where it
ASUN
came from.
Conference.
And
So
when
that's
we
kind of
get
the story. And we have learned and continue to learn that the more you engage the students and give them a real constructive role, they will rise to it. And that's what we're all about. We're in higher ed, and we're about providing learning and competitive experiences for our students. And so, yeah, that's been really cool. And we are the ASUN.
That coming here from the commissioner of the ASUN, Ted Gumbart, here this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Cafe Kubal studios. And love hearing that, a little background of that. And two, like you said, that the student athletes said, hey, we're the ones that have to wear it on everything. We're the ones that have to wear the logo. Bring me into the decision to listen to them, because not everybody does that. Some people have big egos, and there's like, whatever, yeah, you have to wear it, but it's my decision, and I like the design, and end of story. To let the student athletes be a part of it, and then let them release it, as opposed to you as a conference saying, this is our logo, to let the student athletes do it. Just, that's an innovative thing to do, and why choose to do that? And why throw the ego out the door, and as the commissioner, really listen to the student athletes? Because it might just be in your nature, Ted. It might just be who you are, but not everybody takes that initiative. So I do want to dig into that a little bit deeper as to why you didn't just think about yourself, and it wasn't just about your office, but it was about the student athletes, and you let them be a part of it, and you let them be proud of it, and you let them unveil it, which I think really shows the level of respect you have for the student athlete.
Well, thanks. I hope that is the way most people would interpret it. And it's just the ongoing learning experience. If we're in higher ed, we're in continuous learning mode. And the world changes. And there's such an immediate and ubiquitous distribution of information. Everything's out there, and everything's, recorded, everything's photographed. And so the way we do things, we really focus on being transparent and trying to have communication that completes what we call the circle. So if someone says, hey, I don't like this outcome, that we give them the rationale, we let them weigh in on it. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to be leaders and make decisions, but we want them to understand that we're all part of the process. And if you don't get your way every time, you deserve an explanation. So that transparency became part of our way of doing business. And then we have 4 beams. The ASUN, we want to put students first, and then rise, connect, and impact. And if we're going to be transparent and we're going to put students first, that just led us right to the fact that they need to be on all of our committees. And we are going to vote them. This is breaking news here on your program, that we are going to put them as voting status on our management committee. Each school gets 2 votes. It's generally reserved for the athletics director and the faculty athletic rep. And you can designate an alternate if somebody's absent or whatever. But every school gets 2 votes. We're going to give the student athlete committee 2 votes. And they're not going to be there just to listen. They're going to be there to talk and contribute. And we've had them on all of our calls, whether it's a president's call or an athletics director's or whoever it is. And we've learned that in the day and age of transparency and putting students first, that their voice is not only an important part of the equation, but it's very constructive. Like, we get better outcomes because we listen to them. And, it's that role that they don't get to decide everything, but they do get to listen to the debate. They get to have a voice. And I think if it's all handled in the right spirit, that you just get a better outcome. Everybody feels engaged and they have some ownership. And like with the logo, I think we ended up with a better logo because they were involved. So it makes people feel respected, but in the end, it's just, if that's the way you're going to do business, you need to do it throughout. You can't pick and choose and say, well, we'll be transparent on this, but we're not going to be transparent on that. So it's worked for us, and we really want to be students first.
Yeah, and a beautiful thing being said, and thank you for giving me, the blessing of unveiling that on the show. Of the votes, what will they be voting on? What type of topics and discussion, can the student body, these student athletes, can they hope to be a part of?
Well, number one is our entire sports policy is decided by the management committee. So if we decide that we're going to expand tournaments from 6 teams to 8 teams, or from 8 teams to 12 teams, those get voted by the membership. If we have bids as to where we're going to play our championships, those get voted by the management committee. When we have general policy, just that says, hey, when we go on the road, you need to give everybody a 1-hour shoot around on the basketball court, and it has to be between 10 and 1, whatever that policy is. Those are the things that they will be in on, and they will have a voice, not only to share a recommendation, but they'll actually get to vote.
And a beautiful thing, and really putting your money where your mouth is, not just saying we care about the student athlete, but showing them, like you said, still having leadership, still making decisions, but allowing them to have a voice. I've heard my whole life, you have a voice, you have a voice, you have a voice, but do you really? And, some people that have said, we care about your voice, I know that's not true. And then there's other places where that, it was there. If you had a voice, you really could be a part of it. So, I commend you, Ted, to, actually care about the student athlete, but show that you care, as opposed to just kind of, pandering or whatever it may be, to say that you do publicly, but to not show that. I think it takes a big individual to give up some of the power, so to speak, and to share the responsibility. And I think that that's important, is you're not just sharing the decision making and the power of it, but you're sharing the responsibility. You're not just welcoming the student athletes to the room. You're saying, if you're going to be here and you want to vote, you still have to, you have to give me that responsibility, and you have to work with me. So I think you're asking something of them while giving them something, which I think needs to not go understated as well.
No, Dan, that's a great point, that it's a two-way street. And if you ask people, for their input, you need to give it serious consideration. But there's also the responsibility that they do their job and they communicate with their students on campus, their teammates, and that they represent the group's input collectively. So that in itself is a learning experience, that we say, we're building winners for life. That's what we want to do. And just participating in these proceedings is an educational opportunity. And the student athletes that get to do this, that's just another part of their education, and we're happy to provide it. So it has worked out well. And again, it's just simply, if your students first, then act that way.
That's huge words, especially in the world of collegiate athletics, to say, if your students first, act that way. That coming from the commissioner, of the ASUN, Ted Gumbart, this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. And Ted, to look at this past year, speaking of the student athlete, this year in review has been different than any other year, a year and a half, we should say. And what can you say about navigating through the pandemic and what you've learned in this past year about not just athletics and being a commissioner, but maybe about yourself as a human being? What has this last year taught you, and how have you navigated it? I know there's a lot to that question, but I'd love to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I'll give you a two-part response. The first one is I'm going to ask a trivia question.
Okay.
And we'll see if you can get it. What is the record for the most number of championships administered in one semester?
Oh, man, I'm not most number of championships administered in one semester. I don't know.
I'll give you the answer.
Yeah.
It's 22.
And it's yours, right?
And it's the ASUN Conference. We did some research, and I think the Ivy League, which at one point maybe they had 30 plus championships. They may still have that many, but they did 18 in one semester, just because they have squash and fencing and all those sports. But we did 22, and that includes the Coastal Collegiate Sports Association, which we administer that, and we did men and women's swimming and an extra beach volleyball. But 19 ASUN championships and 3 CCA championships. We did 22 in one semester, and nobody else did that. If you're the SEC, well, you did some of your fall in the fall. They did women's soccer, and they did volleyball, and they did their football. And some conferences decided to not do everything. They said, we just can't. We can't do indoor track, or we can't do swimming. But the ASUN, we did every one of our championships in one semester. And not only did we do the championships, we expanded the field. So normally we'd have 6 soccer teams. We took 8. Normally we'd have 9 cross-country runners per team. We took 14. So the ASUN, and we took everybody in basketball. We normally take 8. We had 9. We had an 8-9 game schedule. So we expanded and put on more championships and provided more opportunity for our student athlete than any conference has ever done. So that's number one. And again, goes back to students first. When we said we owe you a competitive experience, and we could not deliver that in the spring of 2020, when we had to postpone the fall of 2020, it was a big decision as to what we're going to do next. And we had some financial reserves that allowed us to pay for testing at championships, pay for testing officials, and we were able to put on all the championships. So that's the thing we're probably most proud of, is that all the dynamics that we all have experienced in COVID, we were able to meet that challenge and put on those championships. The second part, you said, hey, what did you learn, and what did you learn about yourself maybe? And what I would say, and this is a very clear experience for me, is that we learned, whether it's higher education as a whole, whether it's a university or whether it's the NCAA, that we can do things much quicker when we have to. And almost every university in the country, whether it was 10 days or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, developed an online plan for students. And that was amazing to me. It says, hey, you know what? If you have to, you can adjust. And we're much more flexible and adaptable when the pressure's on and you have these existential threats. Hey, if you can't have students, then you're not going to have student athletes. So that is the biggest thing I think we learned, that we can adjust faster and be more flexible than maybe we thought. And that's both individually and organizationally, and universities. That, you know what, we should all be very proud that we are that adaptable, flexible, and innovative. That we did it. We got through the year. We kept our promise to provide opportunities, and I think that's the biggest thing. And I also say you have to realize there's a wear and tear, and we're all kind of worn out. But that's everybody. I start to think like, hey, don't they know I'm tired and worn out? Don't they know? I'm like, oh, well, they're tired and worn out too. I was like, we are all in this together. And so that's what we learned. And I'm encouraging everybody on our staff to take vacation. We just finished our spring meetings last week, and I actually am going on vacation from the 14th through the 24th. And so a lot of lessons, but that's the biggest one, the flexibility and the, you can rise to the occasion. Just put your collective thoughts together. We're smart people, and we can get it done.
Yeah, coming from the ASUN Commissioner Ted Gumbart this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Ted, this is the first time you and I have spoken, and I'm not saying this to say it because you're on the air with me today. I'm very moved by how you don't know any of the questions that I'm going to be sitting here talking with you about and whatnot, and you're not only answering them concisely and I feel honestly, but you're really putting out a plan to not just talk about what you've done to help yourself, but almost to compel the people listening and watching to look at their own lives and whatnot. A lot of the things that you're talking about today really are hitting home, and I think that needs to be appreciated and respected. That my show is called Wake Up Call, and it's meant to be a wake up call, and the tagline is where sports meets life. And you're embodying that right now in the fact that you and I are having a very open discussion about things that I can tell that you care about, and about like you said, we're all tired. I haven't said that in a year and a half, but it's true. We're all tired, but that's the thing. I'm tired. Don't they know that I'm tired? Don't they know I'm exhausted? Don't people understand how I feel? And it's like, yeah, because we all feel the same way. We're all tired. It's about who's powering through it. So I think you're approaching a lot of conversations and statements and realities that I don't think are said out loud, and I really appreciate that this morning.
Well, I appreciate your questions too. I mean, I do a lot of these, and I try to make sure that I honor the requests. I have a PR background and did some public relations work, and one of my operating tenets is that you always respond, because otherwise people will make up, say, well, we got no response, perhaps it's due to, and then they can write whatever they want. And I'm like, look, you respond. So I feel it's part of our responsibility to communicate, with any audience that wants to learn. And so I said I do a lot of these. Sometimes it's more about fun and just get some comments that you can't hear somewhere else. But you've done that with the wake up call. You said, hey, the world changes. What are we doing to get ourselves ready for today and tomorrow? And so I appreciate the thought that you've given to making a meaningful program. And it doesn't mean we don't want to have fun. I tell people that. I said, hey, if I'm conducting a Zoom and I see you laugh, I'm going to call you out and say, hey, how come you get to laugh and I don't? So we try to make it fun and share. But, every day is a wake-up call. What are you going to do to have a positive impact? And that's what we try to do. And on our staff, we just really focus on having each other's back. I'll lift you up, you lift me up. Everybody needs a break. They can tell when the commissioner's kind of tapped out, and I trust my team, and they will tell me, I said, Ted, why don't you just take tomorrow off? And I understand what they're telling me. They're saying that I've run out of patience. I've run out of, being nice, and it's like, yeah, take a day off. So I think we all need to just be honest, and we do have limits, and there's nothing wrong with asking for help. So like, hey, I need a little help with this, and so then being thoughtful with your questions.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's my honor, it's my pleasure to be able to speak about the ASUN and to speak with you and to talk about things through your eyes and through your focal point, which I think is it's a beautiful thing. Everybody has an angle on life, and it's to me it's cool to learn that. That's why this show is very local, regional, national, and international, because I want to be in every household in every state, and I want people to know that these conferences are going to be represented. That I don't say no to anybody. If somebody doesn't call back, like you said, that's on you. But to me, it's like I want the Liberties and the North Alabamas and the Jacksonvilles and the Eastern Kentuckys and so on. I want them to feel that they have representation, and I put that in everything I do. And with that being said, you're looking at expansion right now. You're going through it. It's very much a reality here in the summer. What is it like to expand during a pandemic, and what can you say about the incoming schools that we have here, the Jacksonville States, the Central Arkansas, and the Eastern Kentuckys?
Well, I will make the framework statement that this was something that we've been working on for a number of years. Our presidents actually activated the first step in November of 2018. So COVID interrupted some things. It derailed some plans, but it also accelerated some plans. And it goes back to what we said about being nimble and adjusting, that what we ended up with our expansion is, to boil it down to one point, is finding partners that we're willing to build. You want to build something different. And some people aren't builders. No shame in that. I make the analogy that, you want to go and pick out a nice piece of land and let's clear it and build a beautiful home. That's not everybody's cup of tea. Somebody wants to go say, no, you build the home. I'll come inspect it. And if it looks good to me, maybe I'll agree to live in it. But I would say that our expansion came from a unified vision within the conference, and then we had to go find some people that would share that. And it goes all the way back to adding Bellarmine, that we were at 9, that put us at 10. We were part of a plan that released NJIT 2 years before they were probably going to make that move, and we wanted to do the right thing. And in a COVID environment, that was the right thing for the NJIT student athletes. And when we got Jacksonville State, Eastern Kentucky, and Central Arkansas, not only did we move to 12 teams and start football, but we added 3 schools that their institution, their presidential leadership, their athletic department leadership, that they are all focused on growth and building something better. And that is really what we're doing, and we're looking at ways to continue that expansion. And then for people who don't know, we also are the only conference, at least in the last decade, that twice we've built a men's lacrosse conference. We built a men's lacrosse conference in the Southeast, and then kind of transferred it into the Southern Conference. And then this year we built another one. And we're simply about providing opportunities. And so we have Utah and Air Force and Robert Morris and Cleveland State and Detroit and Bellarmine are all going to play in ASUN men's lacrosse. And so that's something that, again, you got to be willing to build and innovate. And that's where we like to find a difference, that's what the ASUN can do. And we're proud of it. But it has been a collective, long-term project. And I will tell you, none of this can get done because they may say, well, the commissioner had that initiative. I said, no, if you go back, I've got a lot of ideas, and not all of them make it into an action plan. Well, that's because it has to go through the filter of our presidents, and they will guide me, like what we want, what we're looking for. And so I think our President's Council just has a mentality that we are going to make a difference by being innovative and growing and building. So that's what makes it possible. I can have every idea in the world, but if it doesn't benefit the institutions and it doesn't fit their desire to build, it won't happen. So it's a very exciting time, and the fact that we did it during COVID, again, we were flexible, we adapted, and very proud to have those three innovative and strong programs joining us for next year.
Yeah, and when we look at what this conference of the ASUN is comprised of right now, to look at Bellarmine, Central Arkansas coming in, Eastern Kentucky coming in, Florida Gulf Coast, Jacksonville State coming in, Kennesaw State, Liberty, Lipscomb, North Alabama, North Florida, all being a part of this conference, and then to round out the 12, Stetson as well. When I speak about that, when you hear those school names, what does it make you think of as their commissioner? How would you describe what this conference of the ASUN is becoming? And now that you have 12 schools, what does that mean for the future?
Well, I think that if you are prepared to do your job, that you have what we call the elevator chat. You get on an elevator and someone looks at your shirt and said, hey, I like that logo. What does that stand for? Well, it's the ASUN Conference. And people say, what's that? You better have 2 or 3 comments, because you're not going to be able to give this person a dissertation.
Right.
And so for us, if someone says, well, what's that? I say, oh, well, we're one of the 32 Division I conferences in the country. Everybody knows the SEC and the ACC. There's 32, and we're one of them. And what makes us different? Well, we are truly students first. And because we're the ASUN, we're nimble, we're unafraid, and we can try new things. And I would also throw in that we have had a record number of postseason victories the last 3 years. We don't just go, but we send multiple teams and we win. When Liberty gets an at-large to the baseball and they knock off Duke, they beat them twice and went to the regional final against Tennessee. We are achievers. And so some people think, oh, yeah, I've heard of them. I said, well, yeah, we're winning. We're not just participating. So very proud of it. And I think that the goal is to continue to grow when it makes sense for the entire membership. And we have 5 football members that are ongoing long-term, and we'd like to get 6. And we'd also like to keep a balance so that, we can schedule in divisions and go that way. So no pressure. It could be a year or 2, but we probably will be looking at least one more football school and maybe one more school, whether they have football or not, to keep our divisional play. So stay tuned, and when we figure out something to come, we'll let you know.
And I love that. And I love that you have that desire for expansion. I love that you're not hiding from it publicly to say, hey, we want to add one more here, maybe another one here, even it out, want to, do this with football. I love that, because you should have that spirit of progression and expansion and evolution and really looking to build the brand. And your desire to talk about it is just really awesome, because it lets me know kind of where you're heading. It lets your conference know where you're heading. It lets people get excited about it, and it keeps you, top of mind, which I think is great. But, again, many things here this morning with Ted Gumbart, the ASUN Commissioner, on Wake Up Call inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. But I love the fact that you're passionate, that you are well-versed, that you care, and that you are not hiding, the things that you want to do and the things that you look to do. A lot of people kind of are in this smoke screen and smoke and mirrors and whatnot, and you're very much out there in front saying, no, we want to expand. This is what we're looking to do. These are our future plans. I love the fact that you feel comfortable to speak about that on my show this morning, and it really does mean a lot to me because it helps me to keep an ear to the ground for the ASUN, and obviously, keeps people, on their heels and interested in what's happening. So I appreciate you talking about it today.
Absolutely. Always proud to give our schools their due and our student athletes. And, everybody that's a student athlete in the NCAA, they're all special people. And we're not trying to advance the ASUN experience at anybody else's expense. But our responsibility is to our schools and our student athletes. And we want to make sure they have the very best experience they can. And when we had our football press conference about, we kind of said it's a birthday party. This is the start of ASUN football. We were very clear that we intend to build the very best FCS football conference in the country. And we had the advantage of starting with the clean slate. As the only conference in our footprint that didn't have football, we were able to build it with like-minded partners. And so there's nothing shy about it. We want to be the best FCS conference in the country, and we feel we're off to a great start with the 5 we've got, and that's an attractive group for a 6th to join us in the next year or two. And then if we get to 6, then we'll look about whether it makes sense to, is there a program or two that would make us stronger? And if we get to 8, then maybe we can make that group of 8 into a completely separate conference that's a sister conference to the ASUN. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm saying we have a plan, and the plan has options, and we are going to be very deliberate and follow our plan. We're not just waiting to see what somebody else does and maybe an opportunity will drop on our lap. It's like, no, we have a plan. We want to make our conference as strong as possible. And when we find partners that will help us get there, we're not afraid to act. So it's a very dynamic time, but for us, that's what makes it exciting.
Yeah, and I think that's remarkable, and it's amazing, and you've gotten me excited about it. So I'll be staying tuned and staying close to it and looking forward to having you back on the show very soon. But before I let you go, Ted, we talk about having some fun. There's a thing on my show I do called Rapid Fire, and I've done it for years. It allows to, really just talk about anything, and I usually go back and forth sometimes, but today I'm going to let you, since you've been so great at answering my questions and fully and really giving us some awesome information about the ASUN currently and in the future, I'm going to let you ask me a trio. So any 3 that you want to round out today's show, you can put me on the hot seat. It can be sports related, or it could be about anything literally in life. You have 3 questions to ask me. I am sitting on the hot seat in rapid fire. You will now be running wake up call for the next few minutes. So go and ready.
All right, number 1, if you could go see any musical act ever, from the beginning of time, you get to go to that musical act's concert wherever you want, whenever you want. Who do you pick?
I'd have to go see Michael Jackson. Have to.
All right. Very nice. If you could be at any sporting event in the history of sports, because you said, boy, wouldn't it have been cool to be there? What sporting event are you going to transport yourself to and watch?
I love this question, and, there's a lot of answers that I could give historically, but I'm going to tell you one that's very personal to my heart, and that would be I have been a Toronto Raptors fan my entire life. I have been a fan since when they came out with the logo. I've been a fan since 1995. I have been ridiculed for it, laughed at for it. Why do you like a team in Canada when it's a United States league? Yada, yada, yada. And when they won their championship 24 years in, when they won it in 2019, one of the greatest moments that I've ever had. And I got to watch it with my good friend Katie Kalinsky. And at the same time, I would have loved to have been there in the building for that moment to literally have, people tell me my whole life, as a Toronto Raptors fan, you will never see a championship. You will never win. You're literally the fan of a team that will never, ever hoist a trophy. I'm still waiting for my apology letters. I'm still waiting for my roses. I'm still waiting for my chocolates. I'm still waiting for people publicly going on social media and saying I was right. But I can tell you that beyond all of that I will never get, I feel so blessed to have gotten a championship. I was so moved by it, and I'm speechless. So I would love to have been in the building for that, and I hope I'm in the building for the next one.
Awesome. All right, what's the greatest comedy movie of all time?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm a big comedy fan, and I like making people laugh. So I love Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, Mike Myers. There's a lot of great people, Bernie Mac. Man. So I would have to say the movie that I know, like if you have seen this movie, if you start me at any point in the movie, I can figure out where I am and literally play the whole movie in my head. And little known fact about me, I didn't like physics. And when I had to take physics in high school, we had to take a test. And if we passed the test and got a good enough grade, we didn't have to take the Regents, which I did, and I didn't have to. I blacked out during the entire standardized test and literally played from the beginning credits through the end credits. I played to calm myself down and to not freak out during the test. I played the entire Liar Liar movie in my head. I kid you not. I played the whole movie from beginning to end with Jim Carrey, and somehow I got a 98 on my physics, and to this day I don't even know what I wrote. But so I would have to say from beginning to end, because I know it so well, I'd probably say Liar Liar, fantastic movie. But if I had to pick the greatest of all time that I could watch on repeat, I would probably say Mrs. Doubtfire or Wedding Crashers, but Liar Liar is in my brain forever.
All right. Well, you survived the trio here on Wake Up Call, so congratulations, and glad you made it through.
Yeah, and I'm glad to have you here, and Ted Gumbart, thank you so much, ASUN Commissioner. I'm happy about everything we got to talk about today, and you really gave us a window into the world of the ASUN, and pretty much led us right into the office to see it. So I appreciate that. I'm thankful for it, and I would love to have you back on the show sometime soon.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. It's my pleasure, and anytime you just let me know. We'll do it again, and you can do the trio on me.
Okay, sounds good, Ted. Well, in the meantime, take care of yourself, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Thanks, Dan. Talk to you later.
Take care. So, and he gave me the opportunity to put the rapid fire on him next time, which I'll have to do. Listen, somebody gives you the opportunity, got to take it. So, great questions. Loved all of those. If I could see anybody in the beginning of time to now for music, if I could go to any sporting event ever, those, just phenomenal questions. And what's the greatest comedy movie of all time? I mean, geez. So there's a lot of answers to that. So seriously, today has been a historic day in Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We have, for the first time ever, built a bridge to the summit with Commissioner Tom Douple, built a bridge to the Big West with Commissioner Dan Butterly, and built a bridge to the ASUN with Commissioner Ted Gumbart. This show has made history, and you've been a part of it. We'll take a step aside, and we'll wrap today's show up right after this.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecubal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpazsnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is absolutely positively worth the drive every single time. Make sure you download the app on the Google Play or Apple App Store today so you have their entire menu at your fingertips, from their homemade breads and desserts to their quinoa bowls, rice bowls, brick oven pizzas, and salads and sandwiches named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. Ingrained in our community, ingrained in our taste buds, they are your home for local, awesome, beautiful recipes that look almost too good to eat, but then you eat them and you realize that there is nothing like the Millhouse Market. So if your eyes are telling you it's great, it's because your taste buds are about to welcome that into their home. The Millhouse Market, welcoming us every single day into their home, and or all throughout the year, Tuesday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sundays from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Their drive-through pickup window is there for you. You don't even have to get out of your car. You can also go inside to their general store with local products from local beautiful companies. And, of course, there's the indoor dining that they have, and their bistro menu on the weekends, where they have a specialty menu that changes every single week at the Millhouse Market. So make sure you get out there and let them know the Wake Up Call sent you out to 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Worth the drive every single time. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, I want to thank Avicoli's for the ingredients to success that we did a little bit earlier today on being either the victim of your thoughts or the victor of your thoughts. Victim of your mind, victor of your mind. How it's the same amount of letters, 6 letters, and both start with VICT, but it's very different. Are you the victim or the victor of your thoughts? Very important. So, you got all that for you today from Avicoli's, and of course, we had a trio of fantastic guests. Tom Douple, the Summit League Commissioner, Dan Butterly, the Big West Conference Commissioner, and Ted Gumbart, the ASUN Commissioner. So many great things coming up as we reach across this country and make it even more of a small world here on Wake Up Call. We are meant to bring you a wake-up call. We're meant to bring you where sports meets life. We are meant to bring you love and faith and positivity and community and make this world a smaller place for all the right reasons and all the good reasons. Thank you to Ted, thank you to Dan, and thank you to Tom, who made this an amazing show, a historic, monumental show today, a show that I cannot even tell you how much it means to me because I'm still in somewhat of a state of shock. So thank you to these wonderful, wonderful gentlemen. Thank you to the Big West. Thank you to the Summit, and thank you to the ASUN for heeding my call and giving me this opportunity. I appreciate you all so very much, and thank you to all the kind words. A great all-around show today, Dan. Extremely informative. Loved it. Thank you to Greg for that. I hope you have a fantastic day. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. In the meantime, as always, God bless. No stress. Do your best. We have only begun on this week, and almost 18 years in, Wake Up Call has only scratched the surface of what I will do as a human being in this world. I can't wait to show it to you. I can't wait to give it up to God, and I can't wait to do it with the people I love and my puppy and everybody else. So have a great day. God bless you, and I appreciate it, and I'll talk with you soon.